Hello everyone, and welcome to this Q&A. Today is 14, and we are missing one important person today. Actually two, but we are missing our Dalton and Jan. But don't worry, we have a wonderful Florian here.
Hi.
And myself. Hello. Okay. So let's just dig right into it this time, and I think Florian will start with. I think there is some echo in the stream, Florian.
Let me see. Oh, we got a lot of questions in the stream right now. Let's come to that a little bit later. Let's say we have to write it down that we don't lose it. But as usual, we start with the things going on and what we're doing in the last 2 weeks, let's say. One of the most important things, it seems, for everyone is the funding or the completion of the funding of Librem 5 phone by the Purism guys. So I think everybody knows already they made it. They got their 1.5 million bucks. And so everybody got excited about this, and we got a lot of questions. What is our relationship in the future? What will it be? Will Ubuntu Touch will it support Librem 5 and so on and so on? So of course we then started to reach out to them, and basically this is an HTC phone, but it's not a Librem 5 phone.
No, I was answering Ivan's question.
Okay, Ivan's question. The thing is that because it's not existing yet, and they start with some developer kits, and many things are not so sure, but we will try to get all the information that we need to tell you more what we think about it. I mean, we know a little bit already. We have some questions set up, and we will discuss this with the guys during the next days or weeks, because really it was important to see what comes up. For example, they now decide probably for this MX8, or is it called iMX8 chipset for the graphics and the CPU and so on. There are still some questions about the baseband processor and the other hardware parts. So let's say we are excited also a little bit, but not too much. We're not just jumping in circles and being happy that it's funded, but we also have some real questions. What will be happening next year, and what will be the roadmap, and are they, for example, they have a really tough schedule for the software development for it. So we looked at this, and we think, based on our experience, that it will be really challenging for them to get everything done in the short amount of time that they have. But okay, we try to be let's say not judging now, but we're just curious and want to have a little bit more facts before we can really say, okay, this can be a platform that we can support or not. What we know, of course, already is that this is like on a desktop, a platform where any Linux would run without any complications like we have for the Android phones. We don't need this hardware abstraction layer. If all the drivers are open sourced, everything is in kernel and so on, then we can access the hardware right away. Of course, the Ubuntu Touch base is now more or less requiring those Android drivers. So we would have to work around a little bit and remove this and make a little bit of shims or so, or some different API. But I think in theory, it's possible. So on the other hand, you must also understand that currently for us, more important are the things in the near future. So we are looking at still many open items, like we want to come to 16.04. We have to stabilize a few things here and there. Don't get us wrong, but at the moment, we will not start digging into Librem 5 immediately. So I think this is the current state, what I can tell from my side. If you want to add anything, Marius, for the moment.
The thing I can add is, and also there's some echo on your side. So
yeah, I will mute myself now.
So yeah, I will add to that Mir already has support for normal desktop. So I would assume that it should be a smooth setting, at least much smoother than I think for them to build up an operating system from scratch. I think for us to to essentially just slap our operating system on top of it would actually work quite well. Since, as I said, it's, as Florian said, it's standard Linux API. So, and those are all supported in Mir. So the only thing we need to do really is just to I think if we even need to remove libhybrids, I think that should be pretty automatic. The only thing we need to do is to have a different init RD system, or the things that happens right after kernel, because that's quite different from the Linux one, from the normal desktop Linux one. But I think, yeah, it's definitely is possible, but it will require work.
Okay, great. We will come back with probably the next Q&A with some answers if we are managing to get everything, let's say, back and forth between the Librem, the Purism guys, and us. But I think in 2 weeks we should have a little bit more idea. Yeah. I'm just seeing if there was any live question to that. You see, please say hello. Yes, hello guys, also on YouTube. Hello, we can see you. It's just that I have 2 screens and cannot write and speak at the same time.
And also my network is slowly dying as usual.
Okay, we will see.
So yeah, next topic. I will talk a little bit about something exciting, especially for the Halium community. Something we have called Project Sudoku, which is the project to get Ubuntu Touch working on Halium devices, to get on rootfs that's based on Xenial, but still using the Vivid Unity 8 and Vivid API calls. That way we will have a smoother sailing where we change the base underneath first, and then walk up the stairs and upgrading the Unity 8 and all those parts at the working system. So the first order of tasks that we have done now is rebuilding everything on top of Xenial instead of rebuilding them on Vivid. And now have Qt working. We also have some success with Unity 8 starting. It still requires some work. I've been using the OnePlus 3 as my target device for now, and I also been testing some on the HTC 10 and also the OnePlus 5. But the one that I'm targeting first is the OnePlus 3. The reason why I chose that one is because so many people have this device, and I think this is a great target as a first target device because it has an open source operating system. It's more open than others. I mean, like for example, Samsung is really close to the open on this, and second of all, it's an older one than the OnePlus 5, so the code is a little bit more mature and a little bit more stable from Lineage OS point. Lineage OS do have the port for OnePlus 5 now, so I will try to import that instead of using my own hack together one. So that's a little bit on that side. And this thing, I really hope to get it up really soon, where people can download the rootfs and slap it on top of any Halium device. And this is targeting now CUF devices, which is the Qualcomm devices, but I also will rebuild them for the non-CUF one and also for Android 5. Right now, as I said, it's CUF, Android 7. So yeah, that's a bit interesting. And also shout out to Dalton is also working on this. He's working on the Moto Pro 5, I think that is, and he also got Mir working and Qt Mir somewhat working also.
Okay, that sounds great, and probably our guys are excited if there is another OnePlus coming at some day. I mean, there is a lot of things also going on in the Halium group, and if anybody is interested in more the technical side of Halium, then of course please join the Telegram group. There are more people also from the other projects, from Plasma and so on, that are participating there, and they're discussing a lot. Sometimes I have over 300 messages after one day or so. So this is really something specific. It's the group is very, let's say, tech, full of technical things, of course. But you can ask the guys there at any time what's going on with the boards, and they are trying a lot of things, which we even don't see every day. So Halium is really busy. And so I expect, of course, we don't promise anything, of course, but I expect that we have some boards in, let's say, in the near future for some devices that we can then combine with our efforts for the 1604 and so on, and then slowly we will come rolling with more devices. Because I know this is not down the question list, but many people probably want to know what's about new devices and when it's ready and so. But yeah, I think the ball is rolling with Halium, and this project seems to go really well. And yeah, let's see, maybe by end of year, what we will hold in our hands, or what is the Christmas present. Yeah? I hope I get one. Good. So, Project Sudoku. Do you want to say anything about the name?
I fully blame Dalton for that. but the idea of the name is a puzzle, to get a puzzle to work together, to take part from everywhere and combining it together to a puzzle and get something, a result in the end.
Okay, cool. Then I pick up the next one here, which is again one of my favorites. Actually, the thing that I'm working on the Telegram app with the other guys for some time now is to step up the API level so that we can finally support supergroups. And the good thing is now that we seem to have done most of the work that is necessary to actually talk with the server on the right API level, and it seems to work already pretty well. Today I sent some screenshot in the supergroup, and maybe I put it on the forum also, where I can really see that there is bare metal data already in the client, and you can see that there are some weird looking supergroup entries in the list of dialogues. So I think another 1 or 2 weeks, and we have a test version ready. So the waiting seems to be finally over for the supergroups, which will make things much easier for us, of course. And yeah, I'm pretty proud that it seems to come forward. And there's also around 10 people already working on this Telegram stuff now. Of course, not full time, but with more and more effort and motivation. So I want to say thank you to all of them, of course, because Telegram is really a complex thing, and it's not always easy and motivating to follow the partially spaghetti code that is inside. Okay, but so I have to ask you for a little bit more patience for the supergroups, but I'm pretty sure it comes out with the next update, more or less. So yeah, that's great. There is something else here. I pick it up now from the YouTube chat about the notifications. Maybe I just combine it here with that topic. As we see now, notifications going via the old Canonical server is something that is mostly used by Telegram only. I don't know any other app, and if somebody knows, please tell me. But I think no other app is actually using the push server by Canonical. So notifications, let's say server-side push notifications, is mostly a Telegram problem at the moment. So we expect at end of year the notifications will get switched off by Canonical. We don't have a confirmation for that. They told us also not in official way, but we have to expect it like this. So what will happen is that notifications for Telegram will be gone, and we were discussing this already 2 weeks ago or so internally, that we have to start thinking about what we can do. So the first thing what we did is we talked to the Telegram guys actually, and they are open to change on their side the necessary parts or the necessary configuration that we can receive Telegram notifications on our server if we want. So one plan would be to just mimic the same API that we have on Canonical side, set up a push server on UBports, and configure it to receive and send further on push the notifications like they are. this is something that can work. It needs not so much effort. On the other hand, of course, it's then having the same troubles that we have now with the notifications. For example, on my test device, on my Nexus 5, for whatever reason, I don't receive any notifications. I receive them only on my main phone. So it seems that for some reason, two devices cannot register on the Canonical server. So there are some issues also with the notifications that we want to solve. If the time permits, we will also introduce maybe a slightly changed approach to the notifications that will try to fix a few of these problems. And also, we don't want all the notification content and the messages on our server, because to be honest, there is no real encryption going on. All the data coming from the Telegram server goes into Canonical server in more or less plain text, and then goes in another plain text to your phone. I think this is not really the best way how this is solved, because there is absolutely no privacy inside. There is just an issue here with, or a lot of issues with the notifications, but we will try to support at least what we have now. That means the notifications should continue after end of year, maybe on our server, maybe in some other weird way, we don't know yet, but it's on our list. Okay, that's so far for Telegram and notifications. I took again a lot of time now. Okay, the next thing would be that Dalton made a nice survey for the OTA3 and what we want to fix in OTA3, or what the people would like to have. Maybe we just go over this for a moment.
On this topic, I think you know more than this. So I think you can take this one, and I can take the other one.
I'm just looking for the thread. Sorry, I lost it for a moment. OTA3. It was one of yours, actually. Right. Yeah, your wanted features. There.
Oh, okay, that one.
Yeah. So basically, you started on 2nd of September, and we left the thread open now. We got a lot of responses. Let me see again. I'm going to the end. The end. Whoa. The end is still not the end. Okay, this was weird. 6,600 views on the thread and 144 contributions or messages. This is really huge. So thank you everyone for participating in this. For example, one of the items that got the most requests is Bluetooth. Yeah? So it seems that a lot of people have issues with the Bluetooth functionality in whatever way, pairing or connections drops and so on. So our community wants us to work a little bit more towards Bluetooth stability. Okay, let's see what we can do for that. Yeah? To be honest, I did not look into the Bluetooth and the Blues subsystem and blah blah blah, whatever it is, but I think it's an important thing. Yeah?
On the Bluetooth side of things, it's actually using the same thing as on the desktop. It's using BlueC, but I think one of the biggest issues is that BlueC is Vivid version, so it's kind of an old version. I think that also contributes to the issue. I think when we get things to upgrade to newer versions, and we have to realize that Vivid it's getting old, and that's why we definitely need to move to Senior, because that's still supported, and Canonical will still push bug fixes and things to BlueC, for example, which is a middleware. So I think that's also some contribute to it, but also make the user experience and the user interface better. I think that's also something we need to do. For example, there's no option to manually refresh or research or rescan. It's actually, for example, and that's something I see, especially on Android. You can press a refresh button and it will refresh automatically, but there's nothing such thing on Ubuntu Touch. And I think things like that makes the experience worse, and also adds more functionality to other Linux, not Linux, but other Bluetooth devices. Like I see some issues with connecting to sound, for example, and I have the same issue also. Is that For example, if you have an app open, for example, if you have YouTube open, and then you connect to a Bluetooth device, it won't automatically switch the browser over to the new Bluetooth interface. And these kind of small bugs are making the experience really annoying. I think those are the things we can really fix.
Yeah, so we will go over the Bluetooth bugs and issues in our tracker, and we'll probably move some of them into the OTA milestone. So for all that don't know how it works, we also get a lot of questions. What is the current roadmap and what are the milestones? Basically, we will establish everything on GitHub as much as possible. And on GitHub, if you go to the issues page, there is a tab or a button for the milestones. And if you go there you find the OTA-free milestone, and basically all the tickets inside will show what we are going to do for OTA-free. For example, one of them I added yesterday. We fixed the thing with the keyboard not showing up when you have multiple windows. So in the devel version already, the browser can will display correctly the keyboard when you open a new window. And this also affects the new deco version by then. So if you like, you can always follow the milestones there. They are more or less the latest state of the plans for the next OTA. But there is no an explicit roadmap somewhere on a homepage that says roadmap.ubuntu.ubports.com or so, where we put really dates to it and so, because the organization of having a strict roadmap and everyone sticking to it is at the moment still too much for us. We want to keep it flexible, so we also put no real date on the milestone unless we know that it's coming closer. But don't be afraid, there will be OTS coming. No problem. Oh, thanks, Will, by the way, from the super group. He sent us some thank you, and I'm giving him a small shout out. What are you showing here? We're shouting out Will with the lava lamp. This is actually a new app. No, it's not a new app. It's just a test.
No, it's the mirror demo.
Yes.
So as you can see, the OnePlus 3 is running mirror.
Yeah.
Which can also have different tasks and a multi-stream, which is one task. And I can have one interesting one is not interesting, but it's ALG counter, so it counts up. I don't know if you can see it that well. Exposure. Okay. Well, it's counting at least.
Okay, let me just finish the OTA-free, then we can talk about the lava lamp maybe again. I can see you are exploding to want to talk about mirror. No problem. In a second. There is a second thing that got a lot of questions. This was keyboard movement, but as I said, this is already in the OTA-free, so the keyboard movement is a new enhancement that you can move the cursor around with the spacebar of your keyboard. By long clicking it, and then you can freely navigate with your finger by swiping. It's really cool. It's also in the Devil channel already. You can try it out. And then let me see. There was something about background tasks and battery life. Okay, the background tasks is maybe something more specific. It seems a lot of people want to have more battery life. Honestly, to say, yes, some devices are different. In battery consumption, for example, my BQ is really fine for 2 days or 2.5 days if I don't use it much. I don't get the same battery life on the Nexus 5. Even if I turn off 4G, we hope that we get some contributions from the community by looking at kernel patches that could improve here or there. There are some ideas to get this done. Yeah. Battery life is something that will probably not be fixable just by one OTA, but we will try to keep an eye on this. More of the wishes that were selected or not selected that will be discussed, you can find in this thread that is on the forum for OTA-free. There are a lot of suggestions. Unfortunately, we cannot do all of them for OTA-free, but just keep us pushing and remind us. Maybe there is OTA 4 and 5. Hopefully not 27, but yeah.
And also, one exciting thing that's happening now, we get a guest in here.
Yes, the guest is coming.
The guest is coming. Get the surprise. Just continue.
Oh, no, I stopped my video.
You pressed the wrong button.
Yes,
yeah, you're back.
Okay, so basically that's for the OTA-free survey by Dalton, and I think we can now switch to Mir, and this is already what you did with the lava lamp. Let's explain what's the lava lamp, huh?
Okay, first thing I can take with Mir, I have two things about Mir. First, the thing as I showed is Mir this is the vivid version of Mir. For example, if I take the disco alg flash as it's called, this is now running vivid version on Xenial on a OnePlus 3, which is actually pretty amazing that we now have Android 7.1 running so fine as it does without much issues. It's now running out just fine. Sadly, I didn't have Unity 8 installed here because I just wiped it yesterday when I was working on it. So I just have Qt here going on. But this is what Project Sudoku is all about, to get Unity 8 and get all the components that you already have and love already on your phone, but we switch the underlying base to Xenial, where we still will have support by Canonical, and we can also I kind of need to explain what I mean with support by Canonical. Is that it's not meaning that they support Ubuntu Touch. It means that they support the underlying base, which is Xenial, because Canonical do still
Oh, I hope this is just a short dropout.
support Xenial.
Wait a second, Marius, you were disconnected? Yeah.
Oh.
Please rewind yourself to saying support to Xenial or so.
Oh.
Now we know why, because Wayne is joining.
Can you hear me okay?
Sounds like you're inside a dryer.
Oh, that's the way I like to be. Let me fix it.
Oh.
Just keep going without me for a minute.
Okay, sure.
My webcam's a piece of crap. I'll be back in a sec.
Okay. So what I said is that where was I, by the way, Florian?
Yeah, this is a good question. Two things happened. Your internet broke and Wayne joined. Yeah, maybe coincidental. You talked about something about supporting Xenial in a certain way.
Right. I was explaining what I mean with Canonical supporting Xenial. Is that Xenial is a long-time release, which is LTS, as it's called, which means Canonical still support the underlying base of it. The same base that runs on your desktop and runs on servers and runs on IoT devices. And with this, we still get security updates, for example, for middleware components like Bash, for example, or Blue Sea, as I said, and those kind of components, which is the same on desktop. And that's the beauty of us moving to Xenial and still have a moving target, is that we still have the support, and we get nothing. Now we are kind of left on our own with a base that's not supported for some years. Sudoku project, I really hope to get the ball running. This one won't release anytime soon. We still will be stuck with Vivid on our main devices. This is mostly a side project from OTP and all these things, but this is mostly to get the ball rolling, as I said. And I have a good explanation for this, why we're doing it. Instead of jumping up the stairs, we are walking up the stairs. With that, I mean that we don't jump from Vivid to Xenial and have everything operated like Unity 8, Mir, and all those components. We are taking it in steps where we are moving the things we already have and love and works, move that over to a new base, and then we can start upgrading and work our way up instead of just tumbling down if we try to jump up.
Okay, basically, yes, again, yeah. So that's cool. I would say the question for I don't know if you can combine this with that question. Oh, hello, Wayne. Now we have a picture.
How about sound?
Hello.
Hello.
Is
Perfect.
the sound?
It sounds good.
Oh, really nice. Sorry about that. It was a built-in audio.
Okay, no problem.
That's fine.
How's everybody?
Good.
I'm
thanks.
good. I mean,
Yeah, sorry to
How are
interrupt.
you?
Keep going. I'm sure I'll pop in with something nonsensical as you get going there.
Yeah, no problem.
I was just. There is some delays from the United States. I heard. What you want to say, Florian? Keep going.
I just wanted to tell Wayne that we are now discussing already partially some user questions, and we are at his loft topic of Mir.
Oh, Mir.
yes.
Yeah, Mir.
Okay. Mir
Not
and
Mir.
Mer. Yeah.
Not
Not
Mir.
Mir. Oh, sorry.
Mir.
Right. Mir.
Mir. Yes.
Not. Did I miss Wayland?
Yeah, but we are coming to Wayland.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I can't wait. It's like Disneyland.
So it's Mir running on Ubuntu.
Oh, that was so close, man. You know, you're almost allowed on the audio cast. You're getting to. I think by February 2019, we're gonna have you on.
Ubuntu.
No.
Nah, I'm back now. Okay, say it for real, so I can get the tune in.
You just drop the jaw. You get that. You just drop that jaw. Ooh. Can you say ooh?
Ooh.
Very good. Now you just keep that sound through the whole word. Ooh. Boon. Two. Just get the hot dog bun out of your head. There's no bun in Boone. All right?
Okay. Let's continue with Mir before we get completely off topic.
Ready.
Mir. Okay, so I talked about the project Sudoku. So now I will take the second topic with Mir. Is what's coming with Mir. It's actually the Mir 0.8. 0.28, and with this comes basic Wayland support. This is really interesting. This makes it possible, for example, for you to run, let's say, gedit, which is running on which has Wayland background. You can run any Wayland app on top of it. With this, you can run normal desktop app that has Wayland support on top of this. But while I'm saying this, it's still, as I said, basic support. So I'm not sure how much is support. But hopefully, with newer version of Mir, we can also get to the point where you can just run a normal desktop app and make a Wayland app work mobile, and it's the same app, which is mind-blowing.
Which is convergence, actually.
Yeah, which is what Canonical tried to do with Mir and tried to get Mir working on the desktop. But as we know, Unity 8 might come to desktop, but Mir, I think Mir will have some struggles on desktop to try to follow the drivers and follow. If not, Canonical still support it, but I'm not sure how much focus they will have on the desktop. I don't know how long it will support it, or it's just a ticking time bomb until NVIDIA or AMD or some of the graphic manufacturer make a change and then Mir is broken. So that's the tricky part. But at least it will work on phones, because the Android APIs will stay for years, because Google won't change that. They don't have time for that.
Well, it's pretty awesome that. So basically, it sounds like too that snaps. Like I just did a quick check there. There's a whole bunch of snaps are still growing in the U Explorer. So does that mean that those eventually, from what I understand, so in 1604 when it's launched, we'll be able to do all the snaps as well, or?
Well, that also depends on if the Snap is a Wayland app or a mirror. Okay. A mirror app will also work. If it's X11, for example, give an example on Atom, which is also a Snap, which is a coder IDE thingy. That one is, for example, just right now just for X11. But for example, with gedit, which is I don't know if that's a Snap yet, but let's use that as an example. That's built for Wayland. That would also work as a Snap as long as it's built for the right architecture. This is also a different ballpark. Is if it's built for ARM, if it's built for X11, no, AMD 64. And all those things, but as long as it's open source, this should be automatically from Canonical server, so it shouldn't be a problem. But we might run into issue if we try to run proprietary software, which we don't want to do, but sometimes have to do. And with this, what I mean with this is that they often don't compile it for ARM; they just compile it for the desktop architecture. But who needs proprietary software when we have open source anyway? So,
well, you know, and then if you compile it for ARM, I imagine that they'll compile it for Leg, and then possibly Ear. And did you say something after Snap, by the way, back then? I'm just joking, man. It sounded really, really good.
Said a lot.
I really liked what you said. It sounded good. But so it sounds like Snaps might work one day is what you said, right?
When Project Sudoku is finished, yes, we will have Snap support because Excellent. Snap support is already in Signal, so I can actually do Snap on my OnePlus 5 now.
You know, I just like to say Snap. Snap. You know, it's one of the cooler. It's like Juju. It just, you know, it's got that ring. Real marketing ring. Snap. Anyway, go ahead.
I want to snap Juju with the Wayland and Mir.
Wayland? And anyway, this is awesome. So anyway, keep going. You guys sound like you're on a roll. I'll just listen and learn.
Okay, back to our notes so that we don't forget any questions that our users have. The first question that is still here on the open question list is, where do we have the official documentation of Ubuntu Touch? Frankly speaking, this is a question for Dalton or for Jan, but I think officially we don't have all the pieces of documentation in our hands. We started to gather what we have, and some things have been relocated. Some things they started even to, it seems, to delete or so. We need to be careful, of course, that we don't lose important information from the official documentation. But I think this task we can only finish together. So we should, or I think Dalton already has some insights about the sources, and there is documentation for the SDK and so on. We will bring up all that we have, of course, as soon as possible on our web pages or wikis or whatsoever. But at the moment, I must admit, we don't have the full documentation in our hands for sure. Pretty something is missing. And
no.
Yes.
No. No.
Okay, I can already see the frustration coming up. So at the moment, but it doesn't mean we can improve it. Maybe but we can improve it. Yeah.
You will improve.
Well, to say it like it is Git. It's all on Git.
Did somebody say
so? You can have a pull request if you want to improve it. So it's just let yourself loose, Wayne, and commit.
You know, it's hard. I really want to do documentation, but you know, I have this new microphone, courtesy of Smoose, and I just find myself talking to myself a lot in my room lately and recording it, and I think your guys are hearing that.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
Documentation, audio, it's always a struggle. Oh, hold on, my coffee's being delivered. Gotta hold this a second
here. Okay, while Wayne takes a break from the mic, which he seems to adore pretty much, I jump to the next one. It's the update on the status of the foundation. Yes, unfortunately, also Jan is not here, as he's our foundation, primary resource.
German
but I can say we have now we got all the necessary people to staff our foundation, boards, groups, whatever. So that we can file for the foundation, it's coming closer now. We have just to go to do some other German paperwork probably, but at least we have all the preconditions fulfilled. So of course we will shout out loud at the moment when we filed all the documents, and I think this is some of the important points for the next weeks. So we will really try to hang on and get all things done that we can found the foundation, or how to say, source the foundation. This is the question for Wayne again. What is the wording? I'm not.
You know, I was gonna say, what do you call German paperwork? Is there like a big long word for that, like paper working or something? And where you just
no, it's very short. We call this.
Oh, is that?
It's just Papierkram.
Oh, no, that's just short. Okay. So in English, I think you just found the foundation. I like that. I think you got it right. That's what I would do. I would found it.
Okay, cool.
But the only thing I filed is bankruptcy, so I don't know anything.
Okay. So that's the state of the foundation. I mean, yeah, all the listeners probably won't miss it because this will be on all channels as soon as it's there. So
now, may I ask a question about the foundation?
Sure.
I don't know if this is ever. I probably heard it once way back, but why is the foundation important?
Ooh,
like why do I care about this thing?
First thing is one thing I really think the general user is important is that you get a set of trust when you are trusting a foundation to deliver something to you than one hacker from Norway sitting in his bedroom.
Right.
You get a much bigger sense of trust in this. It's not a company, but this foundation is that you can trust them to not lie, for example, because they do have a legal and there is money going on inside the foundation. So we can't like do what you want. You have to be public about things. And I think this is a big thing for our open source community, is that you can have a much bigger trust in a foundation than a single person doing some digging in his basement and releasing something on, for example, if you're coming from the Android developer community, you often just go an XEA developer and download from a random guy Android thing and just install it on your phone and have no idea what's on it. And I think between that is that you have a huge amount more trust. And also at the same time, since it's a non-profit, I think you can trust a non-profit more to do a better work than a company that's all about money. So they, for example, they're making their product to make money, while a non-profit is people that make it with care because they don't. It's like Richmond Stallman says, it's not all about the money. It's about giving freedom to the user and giving, doing a difference in the world. What's the point of benefiting from other people and just taking the money when you can actually do it differently?
I mean, for me, like the most important thing is that this thing continues. And I think that from what I understand, the foundation will give us a better chance of having the whole project continue, rather than somebody saying, you know, let's just forget it. Let's just walk away and shut down the server. At least this way, I think there's a better chance of it continuing, which I think is everybody's hope here. So that's, and legally and all that stuff, financially fine, you know, but I think most important that, everything's available to inspect and everything will continue. So when none of us are wasting our time here, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, to add to that is that when you are a foundation, you get elected and who's in charge. So for example, if Florian leave, someone can come and take his place. No, it's just an example. I won't allow Florian to leave. Anyway, he won't leave. I will fly to Österreich to get him back.
That's right.
But but then as an example is that there will always be someone in this project. If, for example, I leave, for example, there is someone replacing me, and with this is that the project would always continue. The legacy of this project would always go, whatever happens. It's that that's the thing. It's not like I have this project, I have my own servers and everything, and when I am tired of this, I'm just shutting down my servers. And that's also, I think, to add to this is that that won't happen. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Is there one example of a foundation that has made a big difference in the world and continued for a fairly long period of time in this area, like open source freedom? Like the
GNU Foundation.
There you go. Okay, great. Yeah, perfect. So there's a good reference point. Okay, and sorry for taking time on that, but sometimes I think we talk about the foundation, and I know it's important, but I don't really know why. So I think it's good just to briefly kind of remind ourselves why we're doing that. Hey, looks like the sun just rose over there.
Oh yeah, I changed windows.
That was
daylight.
Whoa, dude! Oh.
Yeah, my terminal is black. That's how I usually use my. It's completely dark here, I know it, so that's why I didn't turn on my light.
Do that.
Okay, well, Jane, I will call you Jane for now.
Okay, guys, let's stick to our board again.
Oh, sorry about that.
Because then we have only 2 questions left, and then we can speak about whatever we want. But there is a tough question here, or not tough, but it's an interesting question. It comes from Popescu. Hi, Popescu, by the way, to the YouTube chat. He wrote, in addition to the mere question he had, why we don't skip 1604 and go directly to 1804. Yeah, I mean, of course.
I think that apply to what I said earlier is that instead of jumping up the stairs, we're walking up the stairs. And I think jumping up the stairs right now, we don't really have the manpower to do that. We don't. That requires a lot of work to get going. And also at the same time, we will have a project will be on hold for a while because we will be working really hard to make this step. And I think that's not what we want. We want to have constant movement. And for us to jump directly to a new base will require a lot of work on the underneath side of work, where the normal user won't see any progress because everything happens under the keyboard, under the hood. And that's not good for the project. That first of all, we need to have the movement, and we need to make the ball rolling. But at the same time, I think that they will also make less chance of success. Is that because they don't have the public outface. We don't have a finished product. We only have people working under the hood, and when you don't see something happen, I don't think it's as easy to get contributors also, because they see there's nothing working. And I think this also applies why we are doing this project Sudoku in the way that we are doing, is that we are as I come back to the same phrase, is that we are walking up the stairs instead of jumping up the stairs. I think that's a good way of explaining it to the normal user.
Yeah, and then Bjarne also wrote here on the supergroup that Xenial is more Unity related than 1804 will ever be, and probably he is right with that. And then also, when we look at bigger trends in IT and in software, then there are things like more and more, let's say, operating systems or complex systems tend to have smaller incremental updates, and rolling releases and the continuous flow of continuous integration down to the finished product, and going away a little bit from huge releases. Because with every huge release, you have the problem that it's very complex. It changes a lot at the same time. That means you have a huge inflow of bugs and of problems, and you need a really, really huge QA team to do it. So if we're going minor steps and we are walking up the stairs, as long as we're not crawling up the stairs, we still keep a certain pace, then I think it's worth to say, okay, we cannot jump 2 versions up. Actually, it's more or less 3 versions, because we're coming from 15.04 and would jump to 18.04. And I really see a huge amount of things that will break immediately, including all the hardware layers and the graphical stack and so on. So I think maybe Ubuntu Touch is a little bit different to Ubuntu Desktop, that we are not sticking to the same cycle of releases and stuff, because we can do smaller upgrades. We have the possibilities with the OTS system and so on to get the things to the users. We don't need to package a whole distribution and update everything at the same time. I hope, Popescu, this answers your question in short, because it's a longer discussion, of course, and we could speak probably longer about all this. There are many details inside. There is one last question on my list. So everybody out there, if you have last questions, please file them now. It's about the OpenStore and the Canonical store. So the questions, this is not only this one question, but I heard it multiple times already. How the apps will move from Canonical store to the OpenStore. Well, I must say, we were hoping a little bit that developers will pick up the news that Canonical will stop the store at the end of the year, and they will start moving their apps into the OpenStore by themselves. At the moment, it seems that a lot of developers did not follow that, so you can get older, outdated versions of apps in the Canonical store, but they don't move it to the OpenStore, and they also didn't continue to develop on this. A few important things we have already moved. All the developers that we are in touch on a regular basis, they will move their stuff into OpenStore probably. So the thing is just, I don't know if we can take all the click apps that are in the Canonical store and stuff this into the OpenStore. And it's also the question how much sense it makes if there is no maintainer for this app. Because then it's just an archive. I mean, we can do this. We can just put it there and say, okay, this was the app from the year 2015, and it's still in the OpenStore. But we also need some maintainer, some source code, and somebody who is interested in doing this. Because at a certain point, the click apps will need upgrading. Maybe because we have new SDK parts, or we're switching to 16.04 and there's a new C library inside or whatever. So it's not like with Android that the Android app can stay for a lot of releases, can more or less stay the same, because it's a Java app. It doesn't depend on the libraries. So I think this is also some wider discussion we have to do. I'm open to suggestions. Should we go to Canonical and ask for the whole dump of the server at the end of the year and just replay everything into OpenStore or not? I don't know. Probably technically feasible, but I'm not sure if it really makes sense. So the question that came up in the YouTube chat, how is the transition be handled? At the moment, there is no plan for a transition, except that I can again just shout out to all the developers and people who know developers. Please come back, start being a maintainer for your beloved app, and put it into the OpenStore and be part of our community again. And we can, the thing that we can do is we can copy the click package over, but we will probably not be able to maintain all these apps that are there, because there's quite a few. So I hope that answers the question in some way. There's a second part of the question. When we can use snap packages on Ubuntu Touch. Okay, we answered this already today a little bit. No snaps before 16.04. With 16.04, hopefully there are snaps. That's it. Snap, yeah. But not to forget that also the Snap apps from the desktop, they will have to have some idea about what's going on the phone. So it's not that all the Snap apps you take from a desktop will run on the phone. And if it runs on the phone, maybe your experience is not so nice, because the user interface also needs to understand that you're on a tiny screen now, and you have a touch interface, and you have a content hub to exchange media and so on. So the Snap is a packaging format, but it's not immediately enabling all the desktop apps to make sense on the phone. I saw some screenshots last week or some days ago in the supergroup that someone got Wireshark running on the phone. I think this is just Libertine container. So Wireshark runs perfectly well on the phone. It's nice, but you cannot use it really on with your fingers because of the touch and the small menus that you have to find and press, and then the keyboard pops up, and the keyboard takes a lot of space on the screen. So I don't want to disappoint anyone, but not all the Snap packages that you have now will make sense on a phone, except you connect the monitor and the keyboard, then maybe you have a desktop experience again. So even if we have Snap apps, we need to develop specifically for the phone and for the user interface to make it a really good user experience. That's what I want to say. Okay, that's basically the end of my question list. Anything else? Supergroup, live chat? Let me see. Nothing.
No.
Well, I have a skill of turning nothing into something, if you want.
We have 5 minutes left, so.
Okay, only? Oh, God, that's going to be hard. All right, well, limitations are limited. Just about that last conversation, moving the apps into the OpenStore, what you would think that it would make sense to start with some kind of a call out to the community and say, like, what apps do you really want from the Canonical store, and maybe just pull those ones out first and take, or maybe take ownership of the code or something, the well-loved ones. For example, Florian, you probably remember that Guitar Tools. I think that's already in the OpenStore, but that's a great app, right? And you know, these kind of favorites, you would think that you could just scan through the group quickly and say, everybody go, look, find what's the best, and let's kind of focus on those first.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And also to add that, you can also ping the developer with it. There's not everyone that knows about the OpenStore and that we are changing. There's not everyone knows about UBports at all. So ping the developer interest.
That's a good idea. That's a good use of time too. Is spread that job across the group maybe.
Yeah. Get more developers, get faster development, blah blah blah. Yeah. And also one thing I wanted to add. I totally forgot. Okay, continue.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
No. Wait a minute. No.
You see, my brain, it can't handle dual work. Like I've been doing so much today. My brain have had enough.
Okay, I can give you a short break. At this time of the Q&A, I also want to thank all the sponsors, all the Patreons, and our major sponsors as well, and all the donations that we receive. I think we are now well over 2,000, right? Dollars per month.
2,000 soon at 2,300.
$2,300 per month. This is really awesome and great. Thank you, everyone, for the even smallest donation. Everything everything makes a difference.
Yeah.
And then when we talk about the sponsors, maybe we forgot one big announcement from this week with our new build server. We can mention this as well if you like.
Yes.
That's also something you can talk about. Yeah. Because it's more or less your baby now, yeah.
Yes, this is extreme. I can give one of the first thing I can give. We was building Mir on Canonical's PPA system. That took 3 hours. Now we build that same code in 10 minutes.
Oh wow!
That can just see how extreme this thing is. It has 64 cores. Every core is 2.8 gigahertz and 24 gigabytes of RAM.
This thing, a lot of RAM.
This thing has more RAM than most laptops today.
Wow.
So, of course, show me a laptop that has more than 8 gigabytes, and more than, let's say, more than 32 gigabytes RAM.
No, it has more.
That has more RAM than my Nexus 4, man.
No, that was not
man.
It has more RAM than most laptops have storage. That's what I wanted to say today. That's the insane thing. If you go and buy a new laptop, you can find laptop that's 40 gigabytes that's just for running Chromebooks and those kind of things. And this thing has so much RAM that you can fit so many Ubuntus in the RAM.
Whoa. Ubuntu.
No. Ubuntu.
Oh, very nice. Oh.
Ubuntu.
I moved you back to February 2019. You're back in.
Okay. Okay. So that's the build server. And a quick question to Wayne before we end this off. How is your Nexus work?
We have also to mention, of course, that this build server is we are sponsored. We are not paying
for
this build server. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
And this comes from Packet.net. I really met them the first time this week or last week when we launched this thingy, and they are working also together with the ARM people to provide hardware that is not even on the market now. So basically, you cannot buy this machine. We are one of the first that can use this beast of server. And the initiative is called Works on ARM. They are promoting this, and they want to have communities and organizations. They will sponsor them, and they want to see what we are doing with that to, let's say, build things for ARM, and to get also an idea probably of how well this hardware is working. And we can say after 1 week it's working very well.
Yeah.
I mean, the reduction of the build time is one of the biggest things for us, because then we can make daily builds of the whole system for various devices, more or less at the same time, not at the same time, but one after each other. But it will finish everything approximately in a time window that gets devel updates possible for all things that we want to have. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
So basically, thank you, Packet.net. This is a huge donation for us. There is a lot of money that we would have to spend otherwise on the market, and we couldn't afford it at the moment. And with this build server, and there are also some screenshots, maybe we can put this somewhere on a blog post. It's absolutely insane. If you look at these 64 cores loaded at 100%, compiling our nice packages, and in almost no time. Yeah. So with that, I think we have a huge advantage even over companies that pay a lot of money for other systems.
Wow, that's awesome.
Thank you very much.
And also to add to that is that, as he said, this is nothing that's out on the market, and that's also one of the things why Packet is sponsoring this, is because it's a project from ARM to get ARM servers out in the market. And right now we are testing the hardware and trying it out on real world applications. And to say it, at least my first impression and be using it this week, it's absolutely wonderful. This is the next step in server evolution. It's so good. It's unbelievable. So yeah, it's more to come. I think as soon as we have, let's say, Unity 8 inside, or some real. What is the biggest package we have? Probably it's Unity 8. Then we will really see what will happen. If this thing is going to again just use 8 minutes for Unity 8, then I would say we're done. We can build, I don't know, for 500 phones on the same hardware in the same time, and every day a new update. No. Okay, let's be serious again. So my stack is empty. There are no questions. Marius just posted the screenshot again on the super group. Look at this beauty. That is the secret hardware, not on the market, super architecture.
Yeah, that's super, man. I'm looking at it, and that is super.
Yeah.
That's
all I can say.
Absolutely.
On your desktop and see how many cores you have, and you can compare it. The command is htop.
You're gonna ask me about my Nexus 4 before we go?
Oh,
yes.
Nexus 4.
How is it working?
It's awesome, man. I have to say, it's like I say, after that one day where I don't know what you did, but everything got better. So it was like, yeah, I took the red pill and my Nexus 4 started working. And now I should mention that literally it's my daily driver now. It's been really good for me. And the only single time I noticed, oh, by the way, did you guys get the news desk today about the Ghost keyboard feature? If not, go and listen to that. I think you'll enjoy that. But the Ghost keyboard feature has been removed, and so that's interesting. But the only single solitary complaint I have is really just with Deco being slow, and that's not really an Ubuntu Touch thing. It's probably just the Deco being really big, I'm guessing. Like I don't know the back end stuff, but yeah, really good. So really big thanks to all of you guys, and I am officially Ubuntu only again for mobile and desktop. Nice. What's that one?
I am too. It's the OnePlus One, and this one Deco runs really fine on this. But this is quite a bigger CPU in that one.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. So just thanks a lot. And anybody who is thinking about going to the getting their Nexus 4 back in action now, you can totally do it. And yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Good.
We have 6 minutes
Will, for the
over
Nexus
time.
5.
Yeah. The Q&A comes to an end as usual after approximately 1 hour plus 6 minutes is no problem for our listeners, but we should close for today so that everyone can let a little bit, let's say, get these things, the facts to his mind and wrap around it. Yeah, it was again 2 great weeks for us with a lot of improvements and steps. I think we will see each other in 2 weeks again. Thanks for watching our Q&A today on October the 14th. What is Dalton always saying at the end? I don't remember now.
I think he says, okay.
Press the like button. Press the like button down there.
I say, get.
Goodbye, everyone.
Get.
Okay.
Get. Bye.